off in part 4 with the question, what is the one word that drives extremist beliefs? Safety. In part 1, I said that conservative beliefs often form the foundation because their worldview tends to be more structured and cautious. Back in 2017, psychologist John Bargh ran an experiment where conservatives were asked to imagine they'd been given a superpower. One group could fly, and the other one was completely safe from physical harm. Afterwards, he measured whether their views shifted. Only those who imagined being free from physical harm became more liberal, at least temporarily. When people feel safe, their minds open and grow. When they feel threatened, fear locks them down and they go into survival mode. The brain doesn't distinguish between physical, emotional, or mental threats. That's why trolling, gaslighting, or witnessing violence is so damaging, and we are experiencing it every single day. The amygdala and stress hormones react as if your survival is at stake and you don't even realize it. This wiring starts in childhood. If someone grows up around abuse, neglect, or witnessing violence, their nervous system learns to stay on high alert. Even if your mind doesn't acknowledge it, your body does. That's called implicit memory. The Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACE studies, which identifies 10 forms of childhood trauma, and about 64% of Americans have at least one. Multiple studies show strong links between childhood trauma and extremist views, especially around prejudice and hatred. Trauma doesn't cause extremism, but is a correlation that creates a vulnerability like addiction. Also, authoritarian parenting adds another layer. Behaviorism pushed parents to withhold affection, so older generations grew up experiencing authority over empathy, shaping that rigid fear-based mindset and why so many extremists are older. Add that to today's empathy deficit, and you've got all the key ingredients for an extremist movement. So, in the simplest terms, extremists are just scared inner children refusing to look inward and instead projecting outward. And who they project onto is often a reflection of who that child blames. For example, let's take King James. Now, when James was only a year old, his mother, Mary Queen of Scots, was imprisoned by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. He was then raised by strict Protestant men who taught him that women were manipulative and morally weak. Then, at 20 years old, he learns that his mother, to whom he longed to know, had been executed by Queen Elizabeth. Fast forward to age 37, where he authorizes an English version of the Bible, one that he instructed had to align with his beliefs. Now, James admired intelligent, pure women, yet feared their authority, believing that they threatened the divine order. So, Eve becomes the temptress, and Mary remains the pure virgin. Imagine how different the Bible and Christianity in general would be, though, if his mother had been Queen Elizabeth instead. That's how just one person's trauma turns into a rigid, extreme belief that helped influence a 500-year attack against witches that solidified the patriarchal norms that echoes through generations and still holds authority today. So how do we stop the cycle? Well, make sure to follow, because in the next series, I'm going to share how you can break it and liberate the victimized mindset to growth and acceptance.